Submarine Veterans Incorporated Subvets Groton Base Holland Club Induction Ceremony. I'm Master Chief Gary Stevenson, Command Master Chief of Naval Submarine Base, New London. It is my pleasure to be Master of Ceremonies for this auspicious occasion. To get started, please help me welcome the Chairman of the Holland Club, Retired Master Chief John Carciopolo.
Good morning and welcome to United States Submarine Veterans Incorporated Groton Base Holland Club Induction Ceremony. This event is the culmination of 7 months of planning, preparation, and hard work by many people, and our goal from the start was to make this ceremony as significant as the day these shipmates initially received their dolphins 50 or more years ago. This is a very special occasion for all subvets, as we take this opportunity to recognize, thank, and show our appreciation to 49 of our shipmates, 32 of whom are on the stage, by formally inducting them into the prestigious Holland Club. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor and privilege to present this year's Holland Club inductees.
Thank you, John. Thank you for setting the tone for this ceremony. This is an exclusive group within our subvets organization where the core requirement for eligibility is designation qualified in submarines for a minimum of 50 years. It is certainly an honor to be a member of the Holland Club. These men are legends of the submarine force. This is our salute to our senior shipmates. They, along with their brothers and sisters of the Fen, are the historical connection to and the inspiration for our submariners of the future from Naval Submarine School seated in the balcony. Before we formally induct the newest Holland Club members, I would ask all other Holland Club members present to please stand and be recognized. One person in particular that I would like to single out is Mrs. Betty Fiala. Betty was married to EM1 Tony Fiala, who was subvet World War II and Holland Club member. Tony qualified in submarines on board the US.Submarines. Tony qualified in submarines aboard the USS Spearfish, SS-190, in 1943. Tony was 103 years old and passed away late last year. They've been married 74 years. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, the National Anthem, and the Invocation. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Bob Gustafson, who qualified in submarines in 1955, and our national anthem will be sung by retired Master Chief Chip Alger.
And salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color Guard, parade the colors.
Red colors on, Master Chief. Color Guard. Attention. Carry. Colors. Ready. Cut. Forward. Mark. Colors. Colors. Turn. Ready. Cut. Freeze that. Colors.
Our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Color guard. Retire the colors.
Retire the colors. Aye, Master Chief. Carry. Colors. Ready. Cut. Colors. Colors. Turn. Forward. March.
Subvets Groton Base Chaplain Earl Coelho will deliver the invocation.
Uncover. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us all here together safely and for our daily care. Lord, we ask your blessing on all who is here today, especially our Holland Club inductees. Lord, thank you for the US.Submarines Veterans Association and some vets of World War II. May we continue to look for your will in all that we say and do. Lord, we ask you to bless our Holland Club induction service. Give us patience with each other and guide our induction ceremony so it will be significant to our members and all who witness it on this day. Lord, we thank you for all the brave U.S. service members who fought and died on D-Day, June 6, 1944. Their sacrifice and suffering to liberate oppressed peoples paved the way for a free Europe and the world we know today. We dedicate this induction ceremony to our shipmates on eternal patrol to perpetuate their memories in our lives and in honor of our shipmates on active duty in the United States Submarine Force. In your precious name we pray. Amen. Public, please be seated.
Thank you, Earl. Please welcome Subvets Groton Base Commander Steve Ricard for a few remarks.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a great day. Admirals, thank you very much for joining us today. Captain Kurt, Captain Liddy, and of course, Betty. It's always awesome to have you here. It is. Shipmate, congratulations. You all look so young. Even you, Earl. I appreciate y'all being here. Thanks for making the effort to come today. you deserve this milestone in your career. And I say milestone because yesterday I addressed the sub-school students that were graduating, and I talked about their first milestone. Their first milestone, graduating best. The next milestone would be qualifying in submarines. These folks here, 50 years or more. So it's quite an honor to be part of that group. I qualified in '73, so it's a few years ago. It's also great to see a bunch of my shipmates from the annual Green here. So again, welcome, enjoy the day, enjoy the moment. You earned it. This milestone is something you can cherish forever. So thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Steve. The significance of this event has drawn the attention and participation of dignitaries who are honoring us with their presence this morning. The keynote speaker for today's ceremony is Admiral James Caldwell, Jr., United States Navy. We're also pleased to welcome Captain Craig Liddy, my boss, Commanding Officer, Naval Submarine Base, New London, Captain Thomas Flaherty, Commander, Submarine Squadron 4, Major General Francis Yvonne, Adjunct General to the Connecticut National Guard. We're also pleased to welcome Connecticut Veteran Affairs Commissioner Ron Welch and Deputy Commissioner John Carragher, Mayor Jill Rusk, City of Groton, Mayor Juliet Parker, Town of Groton, and Town Councilor Adam Casino, Mayor Leonard Brunel Sr., Mayor of Montville, and Chairman of the Town Council, Tim May. First Selectman Rob Brule from Waterford. There's an argument about what the best marine is.
Submarine.
But also WTNH TV Channel 8 Chief Meteorologist Gil Simmons. Marine. Gil. Subvet's Northeast Region Director Jeff Walsh and Subvet's National Office Manager Sharon Walsh. Subvet's National Pass Holland Club Chairman, Mr. Bud Atkins. Let's hear it for Bud. And we extend a very special welcome and thanks to the retired flag officers from both the U.S. Navy, the Army National Guard, commanding officers, chiefs of boats, command master chiefs, and all other active duty and civilian personnel attending. To all our distinguished guests, we are honored by your presence. Welcome and thank you to the staff and students from Naval Submarine School. You will be here on this stage in only a 52-year span. Some of you may be a little longer, some of you may be a little sooner, but that's really all up to you. Most importantly, welcome to all the families of our inductees today. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me give a warm welcome to Captain Craig Liddy, Commanding Officer, Naval Submarine Base, New London, the first and finest, who will introduce our keynote speaker.
Thanks, Susie. Hey, thank you, Subvets and Navy New London team who coordinated another great Holland Club induction weekend. And most importantly, Holland Club inductees, welcome back to your subbase home. As commanding officer of subbase, I have the privilege of serving with over 6,500 of America's finest young men and women, many of them, again, sitting in the balcony right above us. They are our future, and they are here to follow your legacy. 250 years ago, next month, on July 4th, we will celebrate the day that 56 of our nation's founding fathers signed their name on the line on the Declaration of Independence in defense of American freedom. They knew that by signing that line, they were putting their lives at risk, and they would be held accountable for treason if captured. And some 50 years ago, each of these men here on this stage, the Holland Club inductees, also stepped up and signed their name on the bottom line in defense of our American freedom, also while knowing they were putting their lives on the line. Today, currently deployed at home and around the globe, there's 1.4 million service members of our Department of War. They represent less than 1/2 of 1% of the American population. And if you break the submarine force out, it's a very small, mighty small percentage. So, you Holland Club inductees, submarine veterans, and our submarine sailors are truly an elite, distinct group of Americans. Many of you were tested in the days of the Vietnam War. You won the Cold War. And each of you helped set the foundation and perfected the art of the most capable undersea warfighting force the world has ever seen. We are honored to welcome you back to Subbase. And many of you will notice some new buildings, maybe some missing buildings, and a very changed landscape across the base. And while buildings change and boat designs evolve, and dungarees have been replaced by Type 3s, the mission has never changed. Every single day, we send combat-ready submarines out to sea to do our nation's bidding, and we train the next generation of submarine sailors. As the Navy continues to invest in fleet, fighters, and families, we continue to do our part to make Subbase not only the first, but the finest submarine base in the Navy. And that's why ceremonies like this are so important. They remind us all of the giants whose shoulders we stand on, and of the great service and sacrifice of those few who have served on the behalf of so many. Congratulations, Holland Club inductees. One of those giants is here with us today, retired Admiral Frank Caldwell. A fifth-generation United States Naval Academy graduate, Admiral Caldwell earned his bachelor's degree with distinction in marine engineering in 1981. He also earned a master's degree in operations research from Naval Postgraduate School. A career submariner, he served aboard USS Boston, where he earned his dolphins in 1984. He served on USS Alabama Gold and USS Buffalo. He commanded USS Jacksonville, SSN 699, Submarine Development Squadron 12, Submarine Group 9, and Submarine Forces Pacific. We all know he served as the 7th Director of Naval Reactors from August 2015 until his retirement in January of 2024. And in his last year of service, he earned the distinguished title, the Old Goat, as the longest-serving Naval Academy graduate on active duty. He currently serves on multiple boards of directors and as an advisor to defense industry leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big Subbase welcome to Admiral Frank Caldwell.
Good morning, shipmates, families, friends, and esteemed guests, and good morning, Betty. An honor to see you. Hey, it's great to be back in the submarine capital of the world and to be on the stage on such a great day. Congratulations to all of you. I only have 25 more years until I sit where you are. I'd like to thank the sub-vets for putting together such a great program. It's nice to see so many folks here today, and I hope the folks in the balcony there remember this and think about your responsibilities going forward. You know, at this very moment, submarines from our force are deployed worldwide, standing vigilant beneath the sea. There are strategic deterrent patrols ongoing in the Atlantic and Pacific, continuing an unbroken chain that started when USS George Washington went to sea in 1960. There are fast attack and guided missile submarines deployed far forward, operating in the future battle space. Some are perhaps tracking adversary submarines or surface ships. I can guarantee you that. On several of our boats, there are Australian and UK sailors who are earning their dolphins and standing watch right alongside our sailors. When I think about our submarine force, I think these things are undeniable. Our crews operate the finest submarines in the world. They do so with tremendous confidence, routinely operating at test depth or navigating intricate straits and narrows. They can operate in shallow waters where the ocean depth is shallower than the boat is long, where even the slightest angle on the boat can put the bow or the stern in the mud. And on any given year, we have boats transit and operate under the Arctic ice with great confidence. We expect our crews to be self-sufficient, to be ready, to remain undetected. They make the difficult look easy every single day. because they stand on the shoulders of giants who in turn stood on the shoulders of giants before them, and continuing on for nearly 5 generations of U.S. submariners. They belong to a culture that these gentlemen on the stage recognize, a culture built in deep technical excellence, trust in shipmates, relentless preparation, and an underlying, unyielding pursuit of excellence. That culture is motivated and sustained by a healthy constructive dissatisfaction. Constructive dissatisfaction, remember those words. The belief that no matter how well you perform today, you must strive for greater performance tomorrow. You're only as good as your last surface or diving evolution. Why do we believe that? We believe that because we believe our mission is so vitally important to the nation. We believe it because our adversaries are forever trying to hunt us down and take advantage in the undersea battle space. And we believe it because we live in a machine that operates in an unforgiving sea. Today we honor this culture and the giants who are part of it and who built it, and that is through membership in the Holland Club. As you've already heard, it's reserved for those who earned their submarine warfare qualification 50 years ago. This is not merely a measure of time, folks. It's a testament to service, commitment, identity, and character. Earning dolphins is the first step in the mastery of one submarine, and that's something we never forget. We take tremendous pride in knowing our boat better than anyone else. It's a milestone we all strive for, that we all remember for the rest of our lives. It marks the beginning of a lifelong commitment to learning and growing as submariners, as leaders, and as individuals. And as my good friend Scotty Fusco used to say, when you're a submariner, you have to earn your dolphins every single day. How true is that, right? Now, carrying that standard across a career is commendable. Carrying it through a lifetime is remarkable. But carrying it on for 50 years is something worthy of our deepest respect. And so this morning we recognize fidelity in our inductees. Fidelity to a profession, to a set of standards, to a way of life, and to our shipmates. We also reflect on the larger story of this 5 generation of submariners. Across those generations, one constant remains true. The submarine force always evolves to meet the nation's needs. And at the core of driving that are our people, like the people on this stage. The first generation started out in 1900 with the commissioning of USS Holland. Early submariners transformed small, fragile, experimental boats into machines that could operate confidently under the sea. They laid the foundation with procedures and standards and checks and balances, rig for die procedures that are written in blood. We lost people, we lost ships, we made mistakes, but our procedures were written in blood. They accepted extraordinary risk to create a capability that would become indispensable to our nation. The second generation was forged literally overnight in World War II. They carried the fight across the vast Pacific when no other part of our Navy could do that. They sank hundreds of enemy ships. They inserted scouts. They rescued downed aviators like former President George Bush. They gathered intelligence. They executed long, lonely, and unsupported patrols, sometimes operating as wolf packs way downrange and self-organizing. That's really interesting because today we're thinking about that again. They adapted. Despite substantial torpedo problems and weak tactics, they persevered and they helped secure victory through incredible courage, toughness, and sacrifice. Many of those boats, as you know, never returned. The legacy of this second generation lies not only in their success, but in the extreme price they paid. Something we remember every single time we told the 52 boats we lost in World War II. The boats that are still on eternal patrol. It's the third generation, the Cold War generation, that we recognize today. This generation led the force through the most significant transformations in submarine history. They took us from diesel boats to nuclear power, fundamentally changing not only the submarine force, but the strategic position of the United States. They went to sea on ballistic missile submarines, protecting the art of strategic deterrence. Now it's the cornerstone of our national defense, and I foresee that going long into the future. They saw and implemented amazing improvements in torpedoes and periscopes and communications and sonar and fire control systems, and it was this generation that saw the forefront of the transition from analog to digital systems. Alongside this, they developed the tactics and the standards and the technical rigor that turned those capabilities into decisive tactical, operational, and strategic advantages for the United States. The missions that this generation on the stage started to perform are still core to our submarine force today. Anti-submarine warfare, we now call it undersea warfare. Sea control, covert intelligence collection like none others can do, and strategic deterrence. This generation will tell you they went to sea a lot, right? They held the line during the Cold War. They were silent, survivable, credible, and ready. They operated under pressure in silence with no margin for error and with only family-grams, no internet. That's right, imagine that. Remember those days? My wife could get a lot of a family-gram by then. They did not merely witness transformation, they delivered it. They did not merely preserve peace, they underwrote it. They laid the foundation for our modern submarine force, and I think we are truly indebted to this generation because I think they actually shaped our modern force even more so than the World War II force. I would argue that. Now, after the Cold War, the nation sought to capture a peace dividend. Submarine construction was abruptly halted. Many in our leadership positions of the nation questioned the need for a submarine force. After building almost 60 688-class submarines, or Los Angeles-class boats, in the 1980s and 90s, we planned to build almost 30 Seawolf-class submarines. We built 3. That's a legacy that still haunts us today. Yet the 4th generation adapted, taking a force designed for an earlier era and proving its value in another. This was the battle group area, with all the fondness that we recall there. Innovatively, we perfected T-LAM strikes ashore, Tomahawk strikes, and our submarines have played substantial roles in all major military actions in the Central Command and European Command theaters since then. This force envisioned and brought to life 4 converted Ohio-class submarines as SSGNs, guided missile boats, greatly expanding our land attack capability. That same guided missile boat added tremendous capacity to deliver special forces in theater. And I have to tell you, this has proven vital. We have operated our submarines, these SSGNs, in real-world Tomahawk strikes, also soft special forces delivery, and it is the most demanded asset today in our Navy. An absolute game changer is something we call ARCI, Acoustic Rapid COTS Insertion, which fundamentally changed the way we build our sonar systems. That today, that approach, and anybody that's been involved in that ought to be extremely proud because it has transformed everything in our combat system. This is a foundation. It made our ships vital and really ready for the current day. So this 4th generation deserves tremendous credit too. They adapted, they persevered, they preserved our standards, and they remained focused on the needs of the nation. But as we know, folks, that peace dividend proved short-lived. And the result is the 5th generation that we're living today. In this era, we have seen the rise of China, and we have seen the return to great power competition. Our force is smaller, but exceptionally capable, and constantly in very high demand. Our focus is on readiness for combat operations, and at the same time, we are building ships at a rate we haven't seen for over 30 years. And we've recently passed the point where Virginia-class submarines outnumber Los Angeles-class submarines in the fleet. I could go on, but I want to turn to our inductees today. To our 49 inductees, 32 with us here today. This story that I just told, this is your story. For submariners, we uphold the standards that we uphold are not relics of the past. They are living obligations to technical mastery, to earning the trust of your shipmates, to discipline, humility, candor, and unwavering commitment to mission and our people. These obligations and the deeply held belief of the value that the submarine force offers to the nation are what binds us together between generations. That's the bridge. So folks, you on the stage here today, your service, your example, both in uniform and out, has strengthened our culture and in turn strengthened our generations and future subsequent generations. There are many examples. If you read the bios here, and I won't read them all, but many of these folks on the stage joined at 17 years of age. Some went on to command ships or submarines. Some led sailors as command master chiefs, and we even have, I think, a brigadier general on board, do we not? The Army, by the way. Thanks for your service, man. Many served on full military careers, and it's amazing how many went on to the Army or Air National Guard. Many took jobs in federal government, and many continue to work with sailors and help them be successful throughout their careers. Many are leaders in church and community and with their families. And I have to tell you, all of them would say that one of the best decisions they ever made was to serve in the submarine force. And whether, sir, you served in years or decades, we thank you for your service, and it matters to us. Your service matters. And your presence here today is a powerful reminder of what it means to wear dolphins for a lifetime. We salute you, we thank you, and we are honored to welcome you into the very exclusive Holland Club. So congratulations to the folks on stage. Well done. Whenever we celebrate sailors, we celebrate families, right? Because we cannot do this business without our families, right, Betty? They have shouldered the burdens of long deployments and missed holidays and uncertainty and long separations. Their sacrifice made service possible. To our families, thank you for standing the watch, and how about a round of applause for a Holland family. Now, as I get ready to close, I want to turn my remarks to the young folks in the balcony above. I think a sixth generation of submariners is emerging, and it is an exciting one that's going to matter to the nation incredibly. One that will extend the reach of undersea power through unmanned and remotely operated systems, distributed sensing, and advanced technologies. You will serve together with Australians and UK, and we will create the greatest undersea force known to mankind. You will inherit our reputation. You will define the submarine force for years to come. You will uphold the standards passed down to each one of us. And you will preserve the Holland Club by remembering that its heritage matters and that those who came before you matter to us. I have a charge for you going forward. Before you leave today, I ask you to embrace one Holland Club member on the stage with me today. Ask them where they earn their dolphins and what they remember the most. And I guarantee you that most of them are going to say they remember their shipmates the most. And finally, I ask you to earn your dolphins every day and make us proud. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Admiral Caldwell. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the induction of the Holland Club class of 2026. Reading the biographies of our inductees will be Mr. Gil Simmons. Mr. Gil Simmons is a veteran of the United States Marine Corps and served as a meteorologist and oceanographer, forecasting weather conditions in sea states all over the world from 1990 to 1996. Admiral Caldwell will be making presentations assisted by Holland Club Chairman John Carciopolo. Just like the Admiral said, this is all about, we're honoring them, but they couldn't have done it without the support of their families, so please feel free to come up, take pictures. This moment's about you as much as it is about these guys. So with that, I will turn it over to Gil. Thank you, Gil.
All right, everybody. How is everybody today? You see, last year they invited me to do this. The weather was beautiful. This year I'm back, and the weather is beautiful.
Of course it is.
Of course. Thank you. So yes, I have my shell back and blue nose as well. Wow. So some of you have that. But it is a true honor to be a part of this wonderful ceremony, as it was very moving last year. It was an honor to be invited to be back this year, not only to bring good weather, but to highlight what these wonderful veterans and patriots have done for our country. Me personally, I look at everybody in the Holland Club as the pioneers of where submarine service is and where it's going. Now, we all can agree with the news because I hear it every single day. Over the course of this year alone, there were many news stories that involved submarines. And every time I heard that, I thought about the wonderful ceremony here last year and all of the contributions of last year's Holland Club, which I'm sure this year's Holland Club has had a considerable contribution to the success we have today. And of course, everybody up there will carry that torch and continue that success for many, many years ahead. I also thought it would be appropriate that we have a moment of silence, considering we are on the anniversary of D-Day today, June 6th. So let's have a moment of silence, not only for what happened that day, but as people have already mentioned, the sailors that are no longer with us, and the others, as we just passed Memorial Day, those that have given the ultimate sacrifice as well. Let's have a moment of silence to consider all of those, and even Betty's husband as well, who are no longer with us here today. So let's have a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. And you know it is an important ceremony to have a Marine hosting a submarine ceremony. So, again, it is a great honor, and I want to be very honest with you right now. If I mess a name up, please straighten me out, speak up. I'm used to it. It's been a crummy spring and early, summer time frame here about the weather. You can bust my chops. I want to make sure we get it right. And I may ask some of you to say a few words, but we feel that out as we go. Again, it is an honor to be here. I'm going to go through the list first of those that are not with us here today because they could not attend the ceremony, but it is only right that we mention those as well. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to give General Yvonne a shout out down here as well with the National Guard, who is up for 4 more years. Let's give him a round of applause for all he's done. That is someone that represents Connecticut and does so much for the community every single day. So it's always an honor. I see him at so many events. And by the way, make sure you do your homework and figure things out for the honor flight. You can take that honor flight down to DC and see the sights that you deserve to see. It's an honor. I'm involved with that very much so, as the General is as well. Make sure you, family members as well, look that information up to get them on the honor flights because they deserve to see those areas. All right, I'm going to start. We'll go right down the list of those who are not able to be present here in 2026. Rear Admiral Supply Corps Raymond A. Archer, qualified in submarines in 1971 on board USS Thomas Edison. MMCM SS James J. Barkman, qualified in submarines in 1976 aboard USS Finback, SSN 670. And please correct me as well if I say any of these incorrectly. RM2SS Stephen D. Chickering, qualified in submarines in 1976 on board USS Kemahema. Thank you. SSBN 642. I love it. You guys nailed the first one. See? But I'm back somehow. MM2SS Gerald Cyril, thank you. Qualified in submarines in 1976 on board USS Virgo, SSN 667. MMCSS Douglas R. Delgado, qualified submarines 1976 on board USS Simon Bolivar. Yes, thank you. SSBN 641. FTG-1 SS Richard Averill, qualified submarines 1976 USS Narwhal. SSN 671. IC-3 SS Brian J. Ursick, qualified 1976 USS Robert E. Lee, SSBN 601. MM3SS Robert Ferrier, qualified submarines 1972, USS Benjamin Franklin, SSBN 640. RMCSS Paul M. Johnson, qualified submarines in 1975, USS Abraham Lincoln, SSBN 602. EM1SS Tom Kelly, qualified submarines 1976, on board USS Skate, SSN 578. Chief Warrant Officer 3, William F. Longman, qualified in submarines 1976, USS Swordfish, SSN 579. Commander John A. Molson, qualified submarines 1976, USS Dace, SSN 607. EM1SS Rodney B. Schlosser. Yes, nobody said anything. Qualified submarines 1976, on board USS Kazimir Pulaski, SSBN 633. ICCS SS John Tippett, 1976, on board USS Stonewall Jackson, SSBN 634. MTCSS Stephen W. Thompson, qualified in submariners in 1976, on board USS Stonewall Jackson as well. TM3SS William Tronosky Jr., qualified in submarines. That was back in 1963, USS Piper, SS 409. MM1SS Chuck Wilmot, qualified back in 1976, on board USS Whale, SSN 638. They're not here, but let's give them a round of applause. Now I'll really hear it if I mess up, because the rest are here. And, sir, as you mentioned, the bios to read through, that's what we're going to do now. I found it very interesting last year, all of the different backgrounds and all of the things that these veterans have contributed over these past 50 years. So we'll get into it now. And again, please speak up. I want to get it right, so feel free. Lieutenant Robert B. Austin. Graduated from the University of Washington with a degree in oceanography. That's pretty cool. Wow. Through the NROTC program, and actually joined the Navy in 1971. His first submarine was USS Remora, SS 487, where he qualified submarines in June of 1973. Bob relates an exciting event when his submarine was involved in an ASW exercise when several helicopters off of Cape Hatteras were involved. Each helo was dipping a cable with a passive sonar array, and the safety rules of the exercise were that the helos would keep their arrays shallow and Remora would stay very deep. However, during one exercise event, the forward torpedo room reported that they heard something hit the hull. Shortly after, maneuvering reported that the port shaft had stopped turning. This does not sound good. Remora then aborted the exercise and surfaced. Imagine what they found. One of the helos had dipped their array too deep, and the cable actually got caught up by the bow plane. The snagged cable pulled the helo down, and the aviators had to actually cut it to avoid being pulled down actually into the ocean. Then the loose cable tailed aft and fouled the port screw and shaft. Now, the submarine's divers retrieved the sonar array and hauled it topside, but heavy seas from an approaching hurricane prevented them from actually removing the cable from the port screw. So they actually went home to Charleston on the surface in 60-foot waves. How many people got sick on that? Quite a few? No, nobody did. All right. Talk about a wild ride that was. Now, after Remora, Bob went off to diving and salvage school and then reported to the commissioning of the USS Pigeon as the engineer and operations officer for the ship's acceptance trials as the Navy's newest salvage and rescue ship. Bob left the Navy in 1976. Everybody, let's welcome Austin. Nobody got sick though, huh? For real? That's funny. I was in the North Atlantic on the USS Nassau back in 1992. We had 40-foot waves, and I would say about 85% of your sailors were not well on that. I remember it clearly, like it was yesterday. I was actually in the North Atlantic. Okay, QM2SS up next, Stephen W. Barnes. Now, Stephen told his recruiter, I'm looking for something different in my life. Many of us do that, right? So sign me up for the submarine duty. And to this day, he recalls that choice as a very good way to satisfy his quest for excitement and camaraderie. After joining our Navy in 1971, Steve attended Naval Submarine School and reported to USS Guardfish in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, where he qualified in submarines in 1972. On board Guardfish that summer, Steve was part of one of the great submarine operations of the Vietnam War. This is when President Nixon directed the mining of Haiphong Harbor. All right, the Soviet Navy responded by sending an Echo-2 guided missile submarine to threaten our aircraft carriers that were in the South China Sea. Now, Guardfish detected the Echo submarine in the Sea of Japan, notified the submarine force chain of command, and actually trailed the Echo as it traveled south into the South China Sea. Now, at the peace talks in Paris, Secretary of State Kissinger took the Soviet representative aside and told him that the U.S. actually knew about the Echo submarine and found its presence near our aircraft carriers to be, quote, dangerous and provocative. The next day, the Echo submarine turned around and left the South China Sea heading for home. During his service on Guardfish, Steve made 2 Westpac deployments and visited Guam, Subic Bay, Hong Kong, Washington, Subic? Thank you. Adak, Alaska. He also crossed the equator and became a shellback as well. All in all, a great way to satisfy his desire for excitement and everything he wanted to do before he left the Navy back in 1977. Shipmates, everybody, let's welcome Barnes. Up next, TM1SS Charles Boynton. All right. Charles tells us that in 1973, he was 4 years out of high school with 2 years of college and decided that he actually wanted to get out into the world and make his way. Now, one weekend he saw the movie The Last Detail with Jack Nicholson. Leaving the theater, he knew exactly what he was going to do next. On Monday, he went to a Navy recruiting office, took the test to determine his rating, and signed up for 5 years. When he got to boot camp in Orlando, Florida, the company commander was a submariner from diesel boats. After listening to his stories, Charles and 2 other boots volunteered for submarine duty. And as they say, the rest is history. Charles remembers that day as one of his best decisions ever made, and getting his dolphins pinned on by Captain Gentry in 1976 was a proud day he will always remember. Very nice. Now, Charles left active duty in 1980, transferring to the Naval Reserves at the campus of Georgia Tech in Atlanta. Shipmate Boynton, welcome to the Holland Club. MM3SS Donald Card. A local kid, Don actually joined our Navy after graduating right here from Stonington High School back in 1970. After attending Naval Submarine School, he reported to USS Dogfish. Don recalls that his first day on board was a little scary and intimidating, but the chief of the boat welcomed him and made him feel like a member of the family. Don qualified in 1971 during a visit to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, during the next 3 years, Don served short tours on 3 local submarines: USS Thomas A. Edison, USS Thomas Jefferson, and USS Trepang as well. Also, during this period, Don married a local girl who wanted to travel and see the world, but his naval career kept him right here. She's still mad about that? And they are still married after 53 years. Bet she's still mad about that. Now, Don left the Navy back in '74. He also served in the Army National Guard, retiring as a sergeant. Best of all, Don says he is honored to be inducted into the Holland Club Shipmate Card. Welcome to the Holland Club. And then to SS Earl Kalella. Let's hear it. Geez, Earl, what's the secret? You only look about 30. I want to know what the secrets are. Following, what's that?
A lot of makeup.
A lot of makeup. That's nice. Following a proud family tradition, Earl joined our Navy at age 17. Maybe that's part of it. Just like his grandfather did, who served during World War I. After completing Naval Submarine School, Earl reported to USS Will Rogers Gold Crew, where he actually qualified in submarines back in 1976. Now, Earl completed 7 strategic deterrent patrols aboard the Will Rogers, where the Gold Crew earned the Battle Efficiency E Award back-to-back years. Now, to this day, the only boomer to do that. Additionally, Earl was very proud of being the youngest and most junior sailor in the Boomer Navy to qualify as Chief of the Watch. Earl left the Navy back in 1980, this time following in his father's footsteps to enlist in the Connecticut National Guard. After serving as Staff Sergeant, Earl attended Officer Candidate School and became a platoon leader. In 1985, he transferred to the Army Reserve, where he actually held many roles, including 3 positions as a company commander. Earl retired from the U.S. Army Reserves as a major after 27 years of service. Earl Colella serves as the chaplain for Subvets Groton Base. Wow, Earl, glad you had enough time to be here today. You're so busy. Shipmate Colella.
It wasn't the Will Rogers, it was the Drill Rogers.
Very nice. Okay, up next, Captain Rocky Jeb Deloach. Got it, Captain. A son of a career soldier, World War II veteran, and Purple Heart recipient, Jeb was born in Texas but moved all over the world as a child. Now, two of his brothers followed Dad into the Army, but Jeb was intrigued by this whole idea of Navy nuclear power. His father objected, but relented after discussing things with the Navy recruiter. Now, that was a great salesman. Jeb actually joined the Navy back in 1963 and became a nuclear-trained interior communications electrician. He qualified on board USS Von Steuben back in 1966 and was on board in 1968 off the coast of Spain when the ship snagged a tow cable and lost both steering and deck control. Now, since the crew did not know why they lost control and fearing the submarine might sink, the CO ordered an emergency blow to bring the ship to safety. That actually caused a collision with the merchant vessel Sea Lady, which was being towed dead stick, no engines at all. This collision caused the merchant to eventually sink. Later in his enlistment, Jeb also served in the USS Thomas A. Edison. Now, after transferring to the Navy Reserves, Jeb took great advantage of the Vietnam-era GI Bill, earning a bachelor's degree from Northeastern University and a master's of science in mechanical engineering from Michigan State. Along the way, he was actually advanced to Senior Chief Petty Officer and then received a commission as an engineering duty officer. His new career path took him to Portsmouth Naval Shipyard and the submarine tender USS Fulton, among other assignments as well. He continued and completed his Navy career as commanding officer of 2 reserve units. First at the supervisory of shipbuilding in Groton, and then at the supervisor of salvage and diving in D.C. Now, this is where he was instrumental in establishing a Naval Reserve docking and heavy lift unit that met an important fleet requirement. Captain Deloach retired from the Navy Reserves back in 2004. Shipmate Deloach, welcome to the Holland Club.
58 years.
Sometimes I pick some of them out. I just want to ask, what was it like though when that collision actually occurred? I mean, what was the emotion and feeling on it?
Everything was fine. Everybody was very professional. The collision alarm sounded. Everything was secured, and everything was going in slow motion. Nothing was very fast. Can I speak something else too?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Microphone's yours.
So I want to say thank you to my wife. We'll be married 58 years this year.
He knows how to get some brownie points on. Thank you, sir. Great work. Appreciate that. Up next, RM1SS, Billy D. Shong. All right, Butch, very good. Growing up in Scottsdale, Arizona, Billy, and it says right here, AKA Butch, had never been to an ocean before. Well, that's kind of interesting how you end up here today. However, he says that was a good reason to join the Navy and see the world. Now, Butch joined our Navy back in 1973 and began a long training pipeline in multiple Navy schools. His first assignment was to the USS Nathaniel Greene. It's like the commanding officers right there, we think. Love the excitement. His first assignment, of course, and he qualified in submarines back in 1976. After 4 strategic deterrent patrols, well, Butch went to shore duty as an instructor at Naval Submarine School. Now, he excelled at teaching other sailors how to actually operate and repair radio equipment and became certified as a master training specialist. He returned to sea duty as the radio division leading petty officer on board USS Richard B. Russell before leaving the Navy back in 1981. Reflecting about volunteering for submarine duty, well, Butch says, "Little did I know I was headed for the greatest time of my life." Let's hear it for Lieutenant Commander Charles A. Doozy. He joined the Navy back in 1963. Now, Charles signed up to be a machinist's mate in the Navy nuclear power program. He completed the long training pipeline at the S-1C prototype in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, back in 1965. That's interesting. And then was retained to be a staff instructor. You must have known your stuff at that point. Charles relates that this period included a refueling of the S-1C reactor and a lot of extra work that most sailors don't actually get to experience. That was all thanks to Admiral Rickover, who said he wanted sailors, not contractors, to actually put the plant back together. Now, Charles was then selected for the NESEP program. He attended Purdue University and was actually commissioned as an ensign back in 1971. After again completing the Navy nuclear power training pipeline, this time as an officer, Charles briefly served on board USS Tyrone before joining USS Nathaniel Greene, where he then qualified in submarines back in 1973. Now, after 5 strategic deterrent patrols, Charles attended the Strategic Weapons Officer School and then served as weapons officer on USS Sam Rayburn. And that's where he made 4 more strategic deterrent patrols. During one of the patrols, Rayburn conducted an operational test of the Poseidon weapons system, shooting 2 C-3 missiles from a launch site near the Azores. Charles tells us the test went flawless, and he was impressed that he couldn't even feel the ship move at all while the launch of those heavy missiles. Charles Doozy completed his career as the operations officer at Submarine Group 2 here at Submarine Base and retired from active duty back in 1984. He relates that his fondest memories of his 21 years in the submarines was not the equipment and systems he operated, not the missile launches he led, but the actual people that worked for him and those that he worked for. Shipmate Doozy, welcome to the Holland Club. Captain Leo O. Fowler-Dew. Villardo. Thank you. Yeah. Captain Villardo. I'll go with Leo. Leo began his legendary Navy career back in 1972 after boot camp and electrician's mate A school. He reported to USS Yellowstone. Now, he was then selected for Navy nuclear power training, and upon completion at NPTU Ballston Spa, he was retained as an instructor. Now, in December of 1975, he joined USS Seahorse, where he qualified in submarines in 1976. After 5 years at sea and advancement to Chief Petty Officer, he became the Chief Electrician's Mate at Submarine Squadron 18. Now, Leo was selected for the Limited Duty Officer Program and commissioned as an ensign, nuclear power, as an LDO. Now, he served in USS Dwight Eisenhower and then in USS Cincinnati, where he qualified in submarines as an officer. Further assignments included USS Emory S. Land, USS Abraham Lincoln, USS L.Y. Spear. Leo returned to Groton as commanding officer of the floating dry dock Waterford, and then as the production officer at the Naval Submarine Support Facility right here. Now, after a tour as a submarine detailer, he joined USS Harry S. Truman as chief engineer and made 2 combat deployments. During his tour, Leo also flew in the F-14 Tomcat carrier-based airplane, including launches and arrested landings. And he even flew 1 combat mission over Iraq. Wow. Now, Leo then served as commanding officer of the Trident Respite facility in Kings Bay, Georgia, where he actually led the 1,700-person workforce repairing Trident SSBNs. Now, he went back to sea as Chief of Staff Carrier Strike Group 10, again in Truman, and during his tour, he again got to fly in carrier-based aircraft, this time FA-18 Super Hornets. Leo's last job in our Navy was at Naval Personnel Command, where he served as Assistant Commander of Career Progressions after serving our country for over 40 years. Now, Leo retired in November 2012 in the small town of Cookeville, Tennessee. Sounds good to me. It says 12. Captain is qualified as a surface warfare officer and as a submarine officer, both silver and gold dolphins. And with his flight experience, his career has been pretty darn amazing for a submariner. Let's give a round of applause to Shipmate.
Question for you. Black Cloud has a question for me. Go figure.
Rain tomorrow. Now, I want to ask you about all these Top Gun movies. Were those pretty legit or close, or what was your opinion?
Well, first of all, the pilot of a Tomcat or a Super Hornet does not do much of the talking. The backseater does. And as the backseater says, anybody can fly the thing. It takes us to fight it.
Nice, very nice.
Thank you all. I just want to invite or thank my friends that traveled far from the town of Cookeville. It means an awful lot to me.
my family that's here, my local friends that are here. My grandson flew up from DC, and last but not least, my wife. If you think a sailor has a tough job, all these wives down here know what a tough job is. And my wife, she can fix cars, fix plumbing. The only thing I don't like her doing is messing around with electricity.
Okay, up next, IC2SN George J. Fetkin. Let's hear it for George. Yes. Now, George entered the Navy back in 1975, straight out of high school in Michigan. His first sea duty was on board USS Independence. Now, after 6 months, he volunteered and he wanted to go to submarines. He attended Naval Submarine School and reported to USS...
Kamehameha.
Thank you. See, you guys are getting it now. Nailed it. During 7 strategic deterrent patrols as a member of the Interior Communications Division, he qualified in submarines in 1976 and was advanced to Petty Officer Second Class, all while the crew was awarded the Battle Efficiency E. Now, George left active duty in 1979. After leaving active duty, he joined the Army National Guard, and during his 15 years of honorable service, was advanced to the rank of Staff Sergeant and retired from the Army Reserves in June of 2002. Well, let's hear it for Shipmate. ETN2SS Gary J. Francis. Now, Gary joined our Navy back in 1971, and after boot camp and lots of technical training in the Navy nuclear power pipeline, he actually volunteered for submarine duty. He vividly recalls the chief who told him, and I quote, "There are 2 types of vessels out there. There are submarines and there are targets." I'm sure you've heard that before, a lot of you. Now, Gary tells us the rest is history. Gary served on board USS Andrew Jackson, where he qualified as reactor operator at sea and as shutdown maneuvering area watch in port. And he actually qualified in submarines back in 1976. An excellent sailor and shipmate, Gary's technical competence and eagerness to work long hours supported his shipmates and the ship's readiness to conduct its strategic deterrent mission. In a letter to Gary upon his separation from active duty, his commanding officer said, "Your continued vigilance and devotion to duty has earned you the respect and appreciation of this command." Shipmate Francis, welcome to the Holland Club. MSCMSS Lorenzo G. French Jr. Join the Navy and see the world, in quotes, was the slogan in 1958 when Lorenzo came aboard. Growing up in Mobile, Alabama, a Navy town, in those days, he heard lots of submarine stories, especially all about the brand new USS Nautilus, the first nuclear-powered submarine. Now, when he joined our Navy, he attended culinary training, volunteered for submarine duty, and attended Naval Submarine School. Imagine his delight when his orders were to his dream assignment, USS Nautilus. How about that? Yes. He experienced his proudest moment of his career when he qualified in submarines in 1962. His quest to see the world included a trip above the Arctic Circle and under the North Pole ice cap.
Paris, on the dream sheet, I wrote first choice, Paris, France. And guess what I got?
Oh, who does he know?
And I was a culinary, I was a first class petty officer. I was a culinary representative for the Navy at a NATO command that had huge amount of Army, thousands, and Air Force, but it was 30 Navy.
Wow.
And they were admirals mostly, and matter of fact, Greek captains would carry. I mean, it was the upper crust. But
wow.
That was one of the best places I ever served. And when I got ready to go up the cheese, all the stuff in the CPO manual I had to learn, status forces agreements, all that, I was living.
Wow, that's
in NATO headquarters.
Beautiful.
And the Gaulle insisted we leave France, and we went up to Belgium. I took him to dance party.
Okay, nice.
Up to Belgium. And you can't believe this. Here I am a submarine, and they were building an Nassau. So I was in a big Belgian port like a compound.
Okay.
With field ranges, and even off submarines I had learned, not hands-on, but I had learned about field ranges. So I found a little Army sergeant, he always stays comfortable because I'm
very good.
And he fires up the field range.
About 2 hours, we'll be ready for your lunch. Does that sound good? Okay, thank you. Let's give him a round of applause, everyone. That's kind of how I do the weather. They get my earpiece and they wrap me up about 10 times in my ear. Wrap me up. Up next, here we go. MMC MSS Ira J. Goldman. In high school in beautiful Taunton, Massachusetts, Ira Goldman joined the Naval Reserve Unit in nearby Fall River. Now, after graduation, he joined our Navy in the fall of 1956 and served aboard the World War II era destroyer USS Caperton. Now, for 2 years he served on there, and Ira volunteered for submarine duty and attended Naval Submarine School, graduating in July of 1960. Ira's first submarine assignment was to the pre-commissioning of the unit of the USS Thresher, and that's where he qualified in submarines back in 1962 and was advanced to MM3, but had the good fortune to transfer soon afterward. Now, Ira also served on the pre-commissioning units of USS Jack, USS John C. Calhoun, and USS Philadelphia as well, becoming a plank owner of 4 pre-commissioning units over his 22-year-long naval career. He also served on shore duty several times at the submarine training facility in Pearl Harbor. Also, Ira Goldman retired from active duty as a Master Chief Machinist Mate back in 1978. Shipmate Goldman, welcome to the Holland Club. Up next, we have Lieutenant Zanis Gurley. All right, Lieutenant. Pierre, South Dakota. Zine passed up a football scholarship to attend the U.S. Naval Academy. His roommate was Ed Sundberg, who will also be inducted here later on this morning, which is pretty cool. Now, Zine graduated in 1968, completed his Navy nuclear power training pipeline, and served aboard USS Thomas A. Edison, where he qualified in submarines back in 1970. Zine recounts that during his first strategic deterrent patrol on Edison, the ship entered the Med and through the Straits of Gibraltar, and almost immediately was subjected to PDC, that's pretend charges, detonations by the Russians. This form of harassment continued sporadically over much of the patrol. Now, at the end of the patrol, as Edison began to egress from the Mediterranean Sea, both inertial navigation systems did not function properly. This resulted in Edison being in some very shallow waters off the coast of Spain. When the boat glanced off the bottom, the executive officer, Kerry Gentry, was summoned to the con. What is the con?
Control.
Control, thank you. And took some actions that likely prevented a catastrophic and a catastrophe, actually. Lieutenant Gurley left active duty back in 1974 and became a financial advisor over 50 years. Shipmate Gurley, welcome to the Holland Club. Up next, we have EN2SS William C. Hare. Graduating from high school in beautiful Bristol, Connecticut in June of 1961, Bill found himself at a crossroads. Well, he wanted to serve his country and get out of his small town. Rejecting the Army's pitch to jump out of airplanes, Bill chose join the Navy and see the world. We've heard that before. And after boot camp and Naval Submarine School and ready for adventure, well, Bill reported to USS Dogfish, where the ship's next destination was Portsmouth, New Hampshire, for an overhaul. Not exactly the Riviera that he had in mind, but he did earn his dolphins there as he qualified in submarines back in 1963. The next year, Bill reported to USS Pacuda? Yeah, thanks. In Key West, Florida, to someone from inland Connecticut. This felt exotic. Now this is what I bet you were waiting on, right? There were palm trees, warm ocean breezes, and key lime pie that could make you forget about your name. But right on cue, Pacuda was sent to a shipyard in Philadelphia. Are you kidding me? They definitely didn't want you on other ships beyond, submarines and ships beyond that, that's for sure. Now, Bill was surely getting tired of dry docks at this point, but eventually his patience paid off. After overhaul, Bill stood maneuvering watch on the bridge, which meant he could actually look at something other than the bulkheads for a while. And finally, the promise came true. Scotland, Norway, Spain, Italy, Greece, and more. As Bill tells us, it turns out the Navy really will show you the world, but you can only appreciate the sightseeing by comparing it to the maintenance stops along the way. I bet you do have a good contrast. Looking back, I wouldn't change a darn thing, except maybe the travel itineraries obsession with those shipyards. Shipmate Hare, welcome to the Holland Club. Jakuski. Close, thank you. Let's hear it for him. Like many sailors, Ski graduated from high school with no particular direction in his life. He worked in his uncle's delicatessen in beautiful Philadelphia, across the street from 4 military recruiters who used to come in for sandwiches. We see where this is going. And they used to talk to him about joining their branch of the service. Well, since Al loved boats and fishing and the ocean, the Navy won, obviously. Now, Ski recalls this as a life-changing decision. Ski signed up for the Navy nuclear power program back in 1972, but after boot camp and A school, the nuclear training pipeline was delayed, so the Navy sent him to Vietnam instead. He served in the USS Oriskany, and for 10 months, and then was flown off by helicopter to attend nuke school and prototype training. Upon graduation, he reported to USS Pargo, home ported in right here in New London. Al rapidly learned his nuclear watch stations and qualified in submarines back in 1975. Also while serving in Pargo, Ski met the love of his life, Nancy, and the life-changing decision proved its value. Is Nancy here today?
Yes.
Hi, Nance. He's getting the brownie points, too. Now, after leaving active duty back in 1978, Ski and Nancy married and raised 3 wonderful children. Ski went to Yukon on the GI Bill and worked for our Navy for 30 more years at the Naval Undersea Warfare Center as a test engineer for vibration reduction systems. Shipmate Ski, welcome to the Holland Club. And congrats, Nancy. Yes. All right, TM3SS, William Keel. Now, Bill joined the Navy back in 1974 on the buddy system with his best friend and schoolmate, Wayne Stahl, who will also be inducted into the Holland Club today. That's amazing. They chose the submarine service and attended Naval Submarine School together. Bill went to USS Tullabee, where he actually qualified in submarines in 1975. As he sees it, the greatest achievement that I have ever accomplished. Now, Bill tells us not to believe the rumors and scuttlebutt that others may tell you. As he relates, when I graduated sub school and received my orders, I was told I was the luckiest SOB in the Navy because I was going to Building 597. The boat that was welded to the pier. I'm sure many of you know this. Expecting to be Groton bound for the time of his enlistment, Bill reported to Tullabee on Sunday night. But, surprise, topside watch told him the ship was going to sea the very next morning. Tullabee went on weekly ops for the next 2 months and then a 6-month-long deployment to the Mediterranean Sea. After a month of R&R in Groton, Tullabee made a month-long run to Bermuda and the Bahamas. Sounds pretty good. Yeah. So much for the Building 597 nickname. Well, Bill Keel returned to civilian life in 1983, but he wasn't done with the submarine service. You see, in 2009, Bill and others started the USS Tullabee Association that coordinates reunions for hundreds of shipmates. He tells us, I am proud to be a submariner. and it is a great honor to become a part of the very elite Holland Club Pride Runs Deep. Well, we thank you. Let's hear it for Shipmate Keel. Welcome to the Holland Club. And then 3SS James Kenyon. Let's hear it for James. Jim Kenyon joined our Navy from Western Michigan back in 1972 after 1 year in college at Grand Valley State University. After a temporary assignment to USS Hepburn out of Newport, he actually attended the Navy Nuclear Power Training Pipeline. After graduating, he again had a temporary assignment. This time it was to the USS Simon Lake. In 1975, he finally joined a submarine, USS Benjamin Franklin, where he qualified in submarines 1976. He later served in USS La Jolla. Nice. Pre-communing? Okay, pre-commissioning unit, thank you. As a Chief Petty Officer, Jim became an instructor in the engineering department at Naval Submarine School. He recalls a student looking at all the parts of the diesel engine they had disassembled and asked, "Chief, do you think it will run when we get it back together?" I can imagine that. Jim responded, "It had better run because I'm teaching a diesel operators course on Monday." Now, Jim went back to sea on USS Nathaniel Greene, and at the end of Submarine's career, then served in USS Will Rogers. His final assignment was again as an instructor in the engineering department of Naval Submarine School, from which he actually retired back in 1992. Now, Jim tells us that teaching sailors about the equipment they would be operating on their boats was the most rewarding part of his Navy career. Shipmate Kenyon, welcome to the Holland Club. MT1 SS Robert William Larry. Navy right out of high school back in '74, planning to serve on river patrol boats like his uncle actually did. Now, while attending boot camp, all sailors are retested for placement, and Bob scored high enough to get the career counselor's attention. Well, you must be a smarty. Now, he offered Bob, that could probably be good or bad, I guess. He actually offered Bob a better way of life by not going to Vietnam, but rather by signing up for the advanced electronics field. Now, he was already in a 4x2 enlistment contract, so all he had to do was volunteer for submarine duty. As Bob recalls, "I did, and the rest, as they say, is history." Now, Bob served in USS Andrew Jackson, where he earned the nickname Launcher Larry, and qualified in submarines in 1976. Now, he was the team leader in missile compartment power level during the first ever launch of a Poseidon C-3 missile. Wow, the first ever launch of that? That's pretty cool. He later served in USS Daniel Webster, where he was advanced to MT1 and served as leading petty officer of the MT division. Now, after some shore duty in Bangor, Washington, he went to USS Nathaniel Greene for her last 2 years of service, and then returned to USS Daniel Webster for her last 2 years of service. Bob left the Navy in 1987. Shipmate Larry, welcome to the Holland Club. HTCMSS David H. Lejeune. Let's hear it. Dave started his career in our Navy in 1967, working in the ship fitter's shop at the repair facility right here at the subbase. He first served in USS Halibut and then aboard USS Seawolf, where he qualified in submarines back in 1976. Since he was standing watch underway as a sonar operator, he requested SSSA school, but the XO turned him down and offered to send him to barber school instead. Well, that's interesting. Well, Dave declined, and when the XO asked him for a second choice, Dave suggested ejection seat training. Really? No, that didn't go over very well. Now, after Seawolf, Dave actually went to diver school and then returned to the subbase for instructor duty at the Escape Training Tank. He later attended first-class diving school and saturation diving school, then participated in the Man in the Sea project, a pioneering program to study long-term underwater habitat in hyperbaric conditions. He qualified as a master diver, serving aboard the USS Ortolan, and then with the Navy's EOD Support Division at Indian Head, Maryland, where he was promoted to Master Chief. Now, Dave came back to the submarine force to serve in USS Archie for 2 years, and then returned to NAV EOD, where he then retired from active duty in 1988. Shipmate Lejeune, welcome to the Holland Club. QM3SS David A. Mapes. Let's hear it for David. David joined the Navy in 1970 and served in the USS Stonewall Jackson, where he qualified in submarines back in 1972. At the end of his enlistment, he left the Navy in 1974. Dave vividly recalls the day he got a nickname. I thought it'd be good. Well, he was underway on strategic deterrent patrol. It is a field day, and he is working under the periscope stand, which is directly above the, goat locker? Yes. Dave is cleaning up dirt and hydraulic oil with Kim wipes, and then he had a bright idea. Use some air. So he grabbed a hose and nozzle and blew that area clean and dry. It was spotless. Then there are shouts from below. The chief of the boat is screaming, "Mapes, you dumb ASS!" Or perhaps some stronger language it says here than that. "I just got finished below you." At that moment, Dave earned a new nickname, Air Hose, the Magnificent. Did that stay with you for a long time?
Until we got a new cop.
Okay, there you go. Now, Dave also remembers a chance meeting with a shipmate some decades later and across the country. It reminds him that, well, we are all brothers, all friends, even a half-century after our service together. Shipmate Mapes, welcome to the Holland Club. Or maybe we should say Air Hose the Magnificent. 1 SS Steve Olson. Growing up in Dedham, Massachusetts, back in the 60s, and with the Vietnam War dominating the news, with nightly body counts, John Olson faced the looming possibility of being drafted. But when he met with a Navy recruiter in 1969 and scored well on the entrance exams, John was offered a spot in our Navy's nuclear power program. The only downside was a 6-year enlistment instead of the typical 4 years. Not a problem. After completing the nuclear power training pipeline and Naval Submarine School, EM3 John Olson reported to the USS Theodore Roosevelt, and that was back in 1971, right before the ship began a 2.5-year refueling overhaul. John qualified in submarines early in 1973 during the sea trials following overhaul. Roosevelt then began strategic deterrent patrols out of Guam. On one of those patrols, a main feed pump failed. John and 3 other electricians' mates rigged out the pump motor and replaced its bearings while out at sea. An amazing feat. John Olson qualified on all engineering watch stations, including engineering officer of the watch, and was advanced to EM1 before leaving the Navy in 1975. Shipmate Olson, welcome to the Holland Club. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Stephen E. Hassan. Now, Steve joined our Navy in 1972 after a frantic overseas phone call from his older brother, Tom, a United States Marine Corps aviator serving his second tour in Vietnam. Steve was preparing to follow in his brother's footsteps, but Tom convinced him otherwise. Instead, Steve enlisted in the Navy, and his 20-year career proves he made the right choice. Now, after completing the Navy nuclear power training pipeline, and with a temporary stop on the USS Fulton, Steve finally made it to the USS Nathaniel Greene, where he qualified in submarines back in 1976. Now, Steve taught at the S3G prototype and then served as M Division CPO, as USS Lewis and Clark, and commissioned as a Chief Warrant Officer. Now, Steve spent his second half of his Navy career leading the training of machinist mates at Nuclear Power School and at A School, and also serving as the Assistant RADCON Officer on USS Puget Sound, where he actually qualified as a Surface Warfare Officer. Steve retired from active duty back in 1992. Now, Steve offers thanks to those he served with on the Nat Green, especially Captain Kerry Gentry, Bruce Lovac, Butch, and especially his M Division Chief, Rich Keenan, for shaping a 2-year tour aboard Nat Green into a 20-year Navy career. Shipmate Hassan, welcome to the Holland Club. MSCSS Jeremiah D. Ross. In high school, Jeremiah was nicknamed Bullfrog after the song. That's a good one. In 1970, somebody said, oh yeah. In 1975, he decided to join our Navy and use the GI Bill to pay for college later. He enjoyed cooking, so he signed up for culinary training, thinking he could tell his mom he would never go hungry. When the submarine recruiters visited A School, they convinced him that he could have a better life cooking for only 140 shipmates instead of thousands and thousands, and there's actually extra pay too. Now, Jerry recalls that choice as the best decision I ever made, and off he went to USS Ulysses S. Grant, where he qualified in submarines back in 1976. Over his 25-year career, Jerry served in USS Greenland twice, USS Miami in the Persian Gulf, and as a plank owner of USS Louisville, USS Maryland, and USS Connecticut. During several shore duty tours, the Bullfrog served as leadership roles and also earned bachelor's and master's degrees. One special memory is doing an experimental diving protocol right here at the subbase to help Navy divers develop the safe use of Trimix gas. Now, Jerry retired from active duty back in the year 2000 and joined the Navy College office, where he helped sailors turn their Navy training into college degrees and credit. He also taught high school culinary arts and special education. His submarine career taught him that the satisfaction of making a difference in other people's lives comes from the service you actually provide. Let's hear it for shipmate Ross. Congrats. TM2SS Dwayne W. Russell. Dwayne joined the Navy in 1974 right out of high school, and after boot camp and Navy submarine school, he completed several weapons training schools in Virginia and Florida. In 1976, he reported to USS Thank you. In Groton, Spain, a hard-charging young sailor, he qualified in submarines on his very first strategic deterrent patrol. In 1978, without enough time for another patrol, before being discharged from the Navy, he was assigned to USS Fulton, right here in New London. Now, while serving aboard Fulton, he got a taste of life in the surface Navy on Fulton's annual deployment, which included a visit to Halifax, Nova Scotia. Dwayne was discharged in 1978 as a torpedoman, second class. After retiring from a civilian career in 2018, he joined Team Rubicon, a veteran-led disaster response team, and to date, he has served on over a dozen natural disaster operations across the entire United States. Let's hear it for shipmate Russell. Just say a word there about some of the natural disasters. So I asked him if he's been to some of these hurricane areas. What kind of disasters have you responded to?
We respond to, Team Rubicon responds to all different kinds of natural disasters, whether it's hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, floods. And, you know, it's very fulfilling to go into an area like that and help people on the worst day of their lives when they've lost their homes and everything else. Yes, it's very fulfilling, and I would like to see any of the veterans in the house look into it. Join us. We could use you out there.
Is there any way they can get information to find out about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go to teamrubicon.usa.com, look us up, and join us. Love to see you out there.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. People volunteer at natural disasters, and you never hear from those people. So that's pretty awesome. Up next, STS-2SS, Mitchell B. Scheckman. All right. Okay, I missed one. We'll go back. Raised in Brooklyn, New York, Mitch grew up reading Jules Verne and was watching TV, especially old newsreels about submarines in World War II and the movie Run Silent, Run Deep. Now, Mitch was sold on submarine duty, so he joined our Navy back in 1969, and he became a sonar technician. After completing Naval Submarine School, he was actually assigned to USS Seahorse, and that's where he qualified in submarines back in 1972. Now, Mitch left active duty in 1975. He tells us he feels blessed to have served with a great crew and also a great captain. During his 6 years in the Navy, he experienced more discipline, purpose, and adventure than most people see in an entire lifetime. He says he's thankful for the ongoing friends of my shipmates and other alum from the Seahorse, and also today's opportunity to stay in touch with fellow submariners through my induction right here into the Holland Club, and it is a great privilege, in quotes. Let's hear it for shipmate. Okay, up next, attention on deck, Brigadier General Mark Russo. Growing up in beautiful Guilford, Connecticut, Mark wanted to join the Navy and see the world. So Mark enlisted in our Navy back in 1974 and reported to USS Kavala, where he qualified in submarines in 76. He left the Navy as a quartermaster first class in 79, but he wasn't done serving our country. Mark recalls that the Navy set him up pretty well for further service as well. Now, Mark joined the Connecticut Army National Guard as a private first class in the 242nd Engineer Battalion, and he was commissioned in June of 1981 through the Connecticut Officer Candidate School. Now, Mark commanded troops at the platoon, company, and brigade level, and served in a variety of staff positions. In his final assignment, General Russo served as Assistant Adjutant General in the Connecticut Army National Guard, where he was responsible for manning, equipping, and training the Guard in support of state domestic operations and federal wartime military operations. He retired from the Army in 2016 after 42 years of service to our great country. Of his career, America is a great place. Shipmate Russo, welcome to the Holland Club. TM3 SS Floyd Dwayne Stahl. Okay, let's hear about Floyd. He joined the Navy 1974 on the buddy system with his best friend and schoolmate, Bill Keel, who was inducted into the Holland Club right here this morning already, which is pretty amazing. They attended Naval Submarine School together. Then Wayne went on to USS Benjamin Franklin, where he qualified in submarines in 1975. Now, Now, Wayne tells us that qualifying in submarines prepared him well for the rest of his life. In addition to learning about electrical, hydraulic, pneumatic, and other mechanical systems, he also developed his leadership skills. Now, after leaving the Navy in 1980, this background and the GI Bill actually helped Wayne get a Bachelor of Science degree in geology. He worked as a geologist and retired from the state of Arkansas after 29 years of service. His leadership skills were helpful in that career and also as a scoutmaster, as an officer of the Knights of Columbus, and as a parent and grandparent as well. Wayne says, the Navy and qualifying in submarines has been a blessing and a big influence in my life. I am proud to have served and wear my silver dolphins. Shipmate Stahl, welcome to the Captain Edward A. Sundberg. Coming from a family with over a century of military service, Ed was an Air Force junior who grew up on military bases in Japan, Germany, and France until the 8th grade, when he stabilized through high school in New Hampshire. Now, he actually attended the U.S. Naval Academy, where his roommate was Zine Gurley, who just received the Dolphins here a short time ago, into the Holland Club. Aiming to be a nuke, Ed was thrown out of Admiral Rickover's office, but was accepted into the Navy nuclear power program anyway. Now, after completing the training pipeline, Ed's first submarine assignment was to the USS Trepang, where he tested new sonar systems in the North Atlantic and under the Arctic ice, and qualified in submarines in 1971. He later served in USS John Marshall and made 2 strategic deterrent patrols out of beautiful Rota, Spain, before leaving active duty in 1973. Ed joined the Naval Reserves, completed a master's in business administration, and worked for more than 3 decades in various business ventures, including being the chief executive officer of 5 companies in the Naval Reserves. Ed served in a variety of positions, including commanding officer of 3 Naval Reserve detachments on USS Fulton, USS Orion. His last assignment was as Chief of Staff to the Naval Reserve Detachment of Commander Submarine Squadron 12. Shipmate Sundberg, welcome to the Holland Club. EM1SSDV, Mark D. Vandervoort. Yes. Says after a year of college and realizing he could not afford to retire, Mark visited a Navy recruiter in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Good scores on the entrance exams led to a boot camp in San Diego and electrician's mate A school. Now, eventually, the detailers sent Mark to Naval Submarine School, where he graduated with honors, and then back to San Diego for duty in USS Sailfish. Mark served there through an overhaul, local ops, and a Westpac deployment, and qualified in submarines back in 1976. Mark recalls this tour as great times with a great crew. He also qualified as a scuba diver. Now, he prepares to go in the water. It says here, the photo shows him. Do we have? I don't think we have a photo, but we can. We do? Oh, cool. That's it right there? And right there. Very nice. Well, the photo actually shows him preparing to go into the water in Bremen and the sailfish, including one dive to 5,000 feet. Wow, that is impressive. Mark qualified as a co-pilot on Avalon. Mark transferred to Naval Reserves in 1980 and completed his service with our Navy in 1991. Shipmate Von der Berg. I just want to ask personally, 5,000 feet, can you put that for those of us that don't know? I mean, is that about as deep as you go or as you can go? Where is that in the whole?
The ocean goes to 7 miles deep. So,
right. Dive-wise, though, qualifying and what people like you do, what's the maximum depth?
Commander Walsh, Captain Walsh, went to 35,580 feet in 1960. Wow. So that's been repeated a number of times, but 5,000 feet was enough for me.
Now, what was going through your mind during that accomplishment?
It was very cold, it was very wet, and I asked someone, what happens if we get a leak? And they said, you'll never know.
Thank you for sharing that, though. Okay, up next, MSCSS. Reginald, thank you. White, Reginald, Reggie. We'll go with Reggie. Let's hear it for Reggie. Now, Reggie grew up in northeastern Vermont, which I like to go to for snowmobiling, actually. It's beautiful up there. Learning to hunt and fish. His father and 2 uncles all served in World War II. And Reggie decided to join the Navy and see the world. He and his 2 high school buddies joined our Navy together in 1974, were all trained in food service, and signed up for submarines together. Now, Reggie served in USS Narwhal, where he qualified in submarines in '76 and visited ports throughout the Caribbean and Mediterranean seas. Now, he also served aboard USS Ulysses S. Grant in Scotland and USS Dallas, with more port visits around the Mediterranean. Dallas? Booyah! Right? Now, on shore duty, Reggie ran the officers' mess at Newport, Rhode Island, and was the chief master-at-arms here at the sub-base, and then completed his Navy career managing the food service operation at Naval Air Station, Brunswick, Maine, where he got back to his roots, hunting and fishing, before he retired from active duty in 1994. Shipmate White, welcome to the Holland Club. TMCSSS Billy Whitehead. Now, Billy grew up in beautiful Rome Mountain, Tennessee. And it's funny, Billy, I chat with a gentleman who used to be on the Weather Channel. There's a great weatherman. He's a meteorologist, very experienced. He's actually an expert in snow forecasting. But he now lives in Roan Mountain, which he posts these videos about how beautiful it is. So, but a place so high in the Appalachian Mountains, it says that the schools are all named Cloudland. I believe it, because the footage is like that. Now, despite being the son of an Army Ranger, Bill hung pictures of Navy ships in his bedroom wall. Wow, I bet that had some pain with it, right? To nobody's surprise, he joined the Navy fresh out of high school. After about 10 months of Navy schools, Bill reported on board USS Fargo, where he qualified in submarines in '76 Bill relates that on his first day aboard, Chief Rice cooked me my first hockey puck and tucked me into my LPO's rack. It smelled funny, but my belly was full, and I felt like a submarine. On cargo, Bill and two shipmates re-enlisted at our sub-vets clubhouse. Now, after shore duty in Memphis, Tennessee, he served in USS Philadelphia as the Torpedo Division leading CPO. His final duty station was at Service School's Command in Orlando, from which he retired back in 1994. Bill offers lots of lessons learned from his 20 years of service in our submarine force, including these two. The tender won't accept a Mark 37 torpedo if the props are turning. It says you, in all caps, must disconnect the battery cable first. That's the first one. The second one, if you hit the wrong button and launch a defective torpedo countermeasure, you won't get an award, but the skipper is secretly glad to get rid of it and got a unique reaction from the officer of the deck. Shipmate Whitehead, welcome to the Holland Club. And I honestly can't believe that is the full list. What I'd like to do, though, let's give them all a round of applause. I can really tell you as an outside person, I think it's pretty amazing when these young sailors up here hear some of the stories and can look down at the years you have put in. And I'm sure there's a lot of appreciation up there for what you have done. And I want you to know I appreciate all you have done. Before everybody leaves today, if you could kindly assemble up here standing, I'd like to get a nice full picture so you can be like me on the news Monday morning. I want to put you on because I want to tell the entire state about your accomplishments. So it's an honor to be here to read your names. I think I only butchered about 3 or 4. That's not bad. But again, I salute all of you. Thank you for all you've done.
Thank you, Gil and Admiral. Before we let you get off the stage, we'd like to present you with a token of our appreciation, a small memento, a framed program of today's celebration signed by all of our newest Holland Club members present today. Thank you, Admiral.
Don't put it in the dishwasher. Black cup.
I would now like to invite Sub-Vets Northeast Region Director Jeff Walsh to say a few words.
Good morning. I was, when John asked me to speak for, in front of everybody here today for a Holland Club, I've done it in the past as the base commander, but never as a representative of the National Board of Directors. So I was a little bit nervous of what I was going to say. Spent 2 or 3 days writing my speech. Admiral, thank you. I threw it away about a half hour ago. Because the words we said it over and over again. But one of the things that the Admiral mentioned in his speech was generations. And I realized that when I got my Dolphins, I never said the word thank you. I realized that your generation was responsible for me for qualifying submarines. I qualified in 1987, stepped on board the boat in 86, and you guys were already qualified 11 years. So thank you. The Dolphins, you all heard it, the sailors up there. Dolphins are not just a badge that shows you that you earned our trust, that you know the system. Dolphins are a badge that represents a bond. Doesn't care if you have silver dolphins, gold dolphins, it's a bond. I speak to my former captain, Admiral Lothring, every now and then when I see him. Big Al Atkinson, Gordon Jennings, even the active duty Master Chiefs now, Cody Henry, for the young sailors. If you have the Dolphins, they welcome you to your family no matter how old you are. So again, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for training me, and enjoy your day because you earned it. Thank you.
And now I'd like to welcome back Chairman of the Holland Club, John Carciapolo, for the closing part of the ceremony. Thank you.
Gary, thanks for a tremendous job as Master of Ceremonies. Let's give Master Chief Stevenson a round of applause. And let's give Gil Simmons and the Admiral another round of applause for Gil was wearing his Submarine Dolphins that we gave him as an honorary submariner last year, and he only has 49 years to go to get into the Holland Club. Holland Club class of 26, please retrieve your Holland Club ball cap and please stand. This is a photo moment, folks, so. Holland Club class of 26, cover. 2. Congratulations. Thank you. Please be seated. We will conclude with a reading of the Subvet's World War II Creed, the Subvet's Creed, and the Sailor's Creed. The Subvet's World War II Creed will be read by Tony Faiello's widow, Betty Faiello. Past Groton Base Commander and past Holland Club Chairman Al Kinsel will read the Subvet's Creed, and Sub-School Command Master Chief Mike McKelly will lead his sailors in the Sailor's Creed.
The Creed for the submarine veterans of World War II. To perpetuate memory of those shipmates who gave their lives in submarine warfare. To further promote and keep alive the spirit and unity that existed among United States submarine crewmen during World War II. To promote sociability, general warfare, and good fellowship among its members, and pledge loyalty and patriotism to the United States government.
Let's hear it for Betty, everybody. Nice job, Betty. Anything else you want to say? Anybody out there? You want to say anything to maybe the other wives and husbands that stayed back while the sailors head out?
Well, we congratulate all of you, and we're glad to know many of you as friends.
Thank you so much, Betty.
Subvets creed. To perpetuate the memory of our shipmates who gave their lives in the pursuit of their duties while serving their country. That their dedication to deed and supreme sacrifice serves as a constant source of motivation toward greater accomplishments. Pledge loyalty and patriotism to the United States of America and its Constitution.
For all sailors past and present, attention to the sailor's creed. Creed all three. Three.
I am a United States sailor. I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, and I will obey the orders of those appointed over me. I represent the fighting spirit of the Navy and those who have gone before me to defend freedom and democracy around the world. I proudly serve my country's Navy combat team with honor, courage, and commitment. I am committed to excellence and the fair treatment of all.
We got submarines.
We got submarines.
We got Holland Club.
We got Holland Club.
We got America.
We got America.
Please sit. Please sit. I'd like to thank Captain Liddy, Command Master Chief Stevenson and the sub-base team, and also Command Master Chief McKelly and the sub-school team for all their help with Holland Club 26. This doesn't happen without their tremendous support. I'd like to thank Admiral Caldwell for coming up here with his family, and just tremendous, Admiral. Salute you. Thank you. I'd like to introduce my help behind the curtains here, the asbestos curtains that we can't mess with. I'd ask them to please come out here. Come on. Come on. Thank you. Tom's over there. Yeah, he's there. Thank you to this team here for doing what they do every year. They're up here helping us out and getting things, making it look like we know what we're doing. They do a great job. My volunteers who have my back, I couldn't ask for a better team in putting this together. You see how complex this is. I couldn't do it without this team, so I'd ask all my volunteers to please stand and be recognized. A little special recognition to a few people who personally helped me immensely. First, Kim Beagle. Kim couldn't be here today, but she put a ton of effort into these PowerPoints and these slides, and I give her a tasking and she was done within minutes. Just a tremendous job. Carl Franzoni, he took care of a lot of other things. He touched base with each Holland Club to clarify their stories and document that, so thank you to Carl. And I'd like to thank the Subvets National Office Manager, Sharon Walsh, who provided a lot of support, put up with a lot of my painful emails, and got me to the finish line. So, Jeff, please thank Sharon. And finally, to my wife, Dee, who is back at the club, doing the food and getting all that stuff ready for the reception. She will not be there next year. I will be here, and so will she. couple of quick and final announcements. First, immediately following the ceremony, we will take a group picture of today's inductees on the front steps of Dealey Center with Admiral Caldwell. Second, the bus will be making runs back to the Nautilus starting after the photo. And third, we invite everybody to join us for a reception at the Subvets Clubhouse. And due to the limited parking at the clubhouse, I recommend that you drop off your guests at the clubhouse at 40 School Street in Groton, and then park at the World War II Submarine Memorial. We have the bus shuttle that'll be making a loop back and forth to get you back and forth. Subvets Groton-based chaplain Earl Costello will now give the benediction.
Please rise and recover. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you at the conclusion of this induction ceremony as a grateful people for your countless blessings upon all of us. We also pray, Lord, that our ceremony today was meaningful to each of us in our organization. Bless us as we endeavor to do something worthwhile in the name of the United States Submarine Veterans Incorporated. Please bless our nation and keep it physically and spiritually strong. Lord, we also ask that you keep your healing and protective hands upon all U.S. military personnel, their families, our families, until we meet again. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Please be seated and allow the inductees to leave the stage and get to the front for the group photo.
Thank you. Like that. He's a great guy. Okay. I love seeing that. I want to make sure I get one of
He said something about lunch. Where? Oh, yeah, that person.
One SS John E. Olson. Growing up in Dedham, Massachusetts back in the 60s, and with the Vietnam War dominating the news, with nightly body counts, John Olson faced the looming possibility of being drafted. But when he met with a Navy recruiter in 1969 and scored well on the entrance exams, John was offered a spot in our Navy's nuclear power program. The only downside was a 6-year enlistment instead of the typical 4 years. Not a problem. After completing the nuclear power training pipeline and Naval Submarine School, EM3 John Olson reported to the USS Theodore Roosevelt, and that was back in 1971, right before the ship began a 2.5-year refueling overhaul. John qualified in submarines early in 1973 during the sea trials following overhaul. Roosevelt then began strategic deterrent patrols out of Guam. On one of those patrols, a main feed pump failed. John and 3 other electricians' mates rigged out the pump motor and replaced its bearings while out at sea. An amazing feat. John Olson qualified on all engineering watch stations, including engineering officer of the watch, and was advanced to EM1 before leaving the Navy in 1975. Shipmate Olson, welcome to the Holland Club. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Stephen E. Hassan. Now, Steve joined our Navy in 1972 after a frantic overseas phone call from his older brother. Tom, a United States Marine Corps aviator serving his second tour in Vietnam. Steve was preparing to follow in his brother's footsteps, but Tom convinced him otherwise. Instead, Steve enlisted in the Navy, and his 20-year career proves he made the right choice. Now, after completing the Navy nuclear power training pipeline, and with a temporary stop on the USS Fulton, Steve finally made it to the USS Nathaniel Greene, where he qualified in submarines back in 1976. Now, Steve taught at the S3G prototype and then served as M Division CPO, as USS Lewis and Clark, and commissioned as a Chief Warrant Officer. Now, Steve spent his second half of his Navy career leading the training of machinist mates at Nuclear Power School and at A School, and also serving as the Assistant Radcon Officer on USS Puget Sound, where he actually qualified as a Surface Warfare Officer. Steve retired from active duty back in 1992. Now, Steve offers thanks to those he served with on the Nat Green, especially Captain Kerry Gentry, Bruce Lovac, Butch, and especially his M Division Chief, Rich Keenan, for shaping a 2-year tour aboard Nat Green into a 20-year Navy career. Shipmate Passon, welcome to the Holland Club. MSCSS Jeremiah D. Ross. In high school, Jeremiah was nicknamed Bullfrog after the song. That's a good one. In 1970, somebody said, oh yeah. In 1975, he decided to join our Navy and use the GI Bill to pay for college later. He enjoyed cooking, so he signed up for culinary training, thinking he could tell his mom he would never go hungry. When the submarine recruiters visited A School, they convinced him that he could have a better life cooking for only 140 shipmates instead of thousands and thousands, and there's actually extra pay too. Now, Jerry recalls that choice as the best decision I ever made, and off he went to USS Ulysses S. Grant, where he qualified in submarines back in 1976. Over his 25-year career, Jerry served in USS Greenland twice, USS Miami in the Persian Gulf, and as a plank owner of USS Louisville, USS Maryland, and USS Connecticut. During several shore duty tours, the Bullfrog served as leadership roles and also earned bachelor's and master's degrees. One special memory is doing an experimental diving protocol right here at the subbase to help Navy divers develop the safe use of Trimix gas. Now, Jerry retired from active duty back in the year 2000 and joined the Navy College office, where he helped sailors turn their Navy training into college degrees and credit. He also taught high school culinary arts and special education. His submarine career taught him that the satisfaction of making a difference in other people's lives comes from the service you actually provide. Let's hear it for Shipmate Ross. Congrats. TM2SS Dwayne W. Russell. 1974, right out of high school, and after boot camp and Navy submarine school, he completed several weapons training schools in Virginia and Florida. In 1976, he reported to USS Thank you. In Groton, Spain, a hard-charging young sailor, he qualified in submarines on his very first strategic deterrent patrol. In 1978, without enough time for another patrol, before being discharged from the Navy, he was assigned to USS Fulton, right here in New London. Now, while serving aboard Fulton, he got a taste of life in the surface Navy on Fulton's annual deployment, which included a visit to Halifax, Nova Scotia. Dwayne was discharged in 1978 as a torpedoman, second class. After retiring from a civilian career in 2018, he joined Team Rubicon, a veteran-led disaster response team, and to date, he has served on over a dozen natural disaster operations across the entire United States. Let's hear it for shipmate Russell.
Just say a word about some of the natural disasters we love.
So I asked him if he's been to some of these hurricane areas. What kind of disasters have you responded to?
We respond to, Team Rubicon responds to all different kinds of natural disasters, whether it's hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, floods. And, you know, it's very fulfilling to go into an area like that and help people on the worst day of their lives when they've lost their homes and everything else. Yes, it's very fulfilling, and I would like to see any of the veterans in the house look into it. Join us. We could use you out there.
Is there any way they can get information to find out about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go to teamrubicon.usa.com, look us up, and join us. Love to see you out there.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. People volunteer at natural disasters, and you never hear from those people. So that's pretty awesome. Up next, STS-2SS, Mitchell B. Scheckman. All right. Okay, I missed one. We'll go back. Raised in Brooklyn, New York, Mitch grew up reading Jules Verne and was watching TV, especially old newsreels about submarines in World War II and the movie Run Silent, Run Deep. Now, Mitch was sold on submarine duty, so he joined our Navy back in 1969, and he became a sonar technician. After completing Naval Submarine School, he was actually assigned to USS Seahorse, and that's where he qualified in submarines back in 1972. Now, Mitch left active duty in 1975. He tells us he feels blessed to have served with a great crew and also a great captain. During his 6 years in the Navy, he experienced more discipline, purpose, and adventure than most people see in an entire lifetime. He says he's thankful for the ongoing friends of my shipmates and other alum from the Seahorse, and also today's opportunity to stay in touch with fellow submariners through my induction right here into the Holland Club, and it is a great privilege, in quotes. Let's hear it for shipmate. Okay, up next, attention on deck, Brigadier General Mark Russo. Growing up in beautiful Guilford, Connecticut, Mark wanted to join the Navy and see the world. So Mark enlisted in our Navy back in 19 1974 and reported to USS Kavala, where he qualified in submarines in 76. He left the Navy as a quartermaster first class in 79, but he wasn't done serving our country. Mark recalls that the Navy set him up pretty well for further service as well. Now, Mark joined the Connecticut Army National Guard as a private first class in the 242nd Engineer Battalion, and he was commissioned in June of 1981 through the Connecticut Officer Candidate School. Now, Mark commanded troops at the platoon, company, and brigade level and served in a variety of staff positions. In his final assignment, General Russo served as Assistant Adjutant General in the Connecticut Army National Guard, where he was responsible for manning, equipping, and training the Guard in support of state domestic operations and federal wartime military operations. He retired from the Army in 2016 after 42 years of service to our great country. His summary of his career: America is a great place. Shipmate Russo, welcome to the Holland Club. TM3 SS Floyd Dwayne Stahl. Okay, let's hear about Floyd. He joined the Navy 1974 on the buddy system with his best friend and schoolmate, Bill Keel, who was inducted into the Holland Club right here this morning already, which is pretty amazing. They attended Naval Submarine School together. Then Wayne went on to USS Benjamin Franklin, where he qualified in submarines in 1975. Now, Wayne tells us that qualifying in submarines prepared him well for the rest of his life. In addition to learning about electrical, hydraulic, pneumatic, and other mechanical systems, he also developed his leadership skills. Now, after leaving the Navy in 1980, this background and the GI Bill actually helped Wayne get a Bachelor of Science degree in geology. He worked as a geologist and retired from the state of Arkansas after 29 years of service. His leadership skills were helpful in that career, and also as a scoutmaster, as an officer of the Knights of Columbus, and as a parent and grandparent as well. Wayne says, the Navy and qualifying in submarines has been a blessing and a big influence in my life. I am proud to have served and wear my silver dolphins. Shipmate Stahl, welcome to the Captain Edward A. Sundberg. Coming from a family with over a century of military service, Ed was an Air Force junior who grew up on military bases in Japan, Germany, and France until the 8th grade, when he stabilized through high school in New Hampshire. Now, he actually attended the U.S. Naval Academy, where his roommate was Zine Gurley, who just received the Dolphins here a short time ago into the Holland Club. Aiming to be a nuke, Ed was thrown out of Admiral Rickover's office, but was accepted into the Navy nuclear power program anyway. Now, after completing the training pipeline, Ed's first submarine assignment was to the USS Trepang, where he tested new sonar systems in the North Atlantic and under the Arctic ice, and qualified in submarines in 1971. He later served in USS John Marshall and made 2 strategic deterrent patrols out of beautiful Rota, Spain, before leaving active duty in 1973. Ed joined the Naval Reserves, completed a master's in business administration, and worked for more than 3 decades in various business ventures, including being the chief executive officer of 5 companies in the Naval Reserves. Ed served in a variety of positions, including commanding officer of 3 Naval Reserve detachments on USS Fulton, USS Orion. His last assignment was as Chief of Staff to the Naval Reserve Detachment of Commander Submarine Squadron 12. Shipmate Sundberg, welcome to the Holland Club. EM1SSDV, Mark D. van der Voort. Yes. Says after a year of college and realizing he could not afford to retire, Mark visited a Navy recruiter in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Good scores on the entrance exams led to a boot camp in San Diego and electrician's mate A school. Now eventually, the detailers sent Mark to Naval Submarine School, where he graduated with honors, and then back to San Diego for duty in USS Sailfish. Mark served there through an overhaul, local ops, and a Westpac deployment, and qualified in submarines back in 1976. Mark recalls this tour as great times with a great crew. He also qualified as a scuba diver. Now, he prepares to go in the water. It says here, the photo shows him. Do we have? No, I don't think we have a photo, but we can. We do? Oh, cool. That's it right there? And right there. Very nice. Well, the photo actually shows him preparing to go into the water in Bremen.